U-turn means that you're driving one way and you need to turn around and go the other way. So what is the rule about that? If there's a sign saying no U-turn, you can't turn around and do a U-turn. But if there's not a sign, then what is the rule? The rule is that if you can see 1,000 feet in both directions and it's clear, then you can go ahead and make a U-turn if it's safe to do so. All right, what percentage of fatal crashes involved alcohol last year? This particular percentage is in Minnesota. Nationwide, it's a little bit different, but in Minnesota, about 1/3 of crashes last year were alcohol related. And so that would be 33%, or 1/3 of crashes. So think how many are preventable without that as a factor. What color are interstate freeway signs? So around here, 35 would be an interstate. So if you see a sign telling you, hey, this is 35, what color are those signs? Interstate means it goes from state to state. And what's a good way to remember that? What's the color of the United States flag? Red, white, and blue. So interstate signs are red, white, and blue. And then I'll show you an example. And then Minnesota highways. If anyone knows what the Minnesota flag looks like, that's a big clue for this one. So Minnesota highway signs. And it's just telling you what road you're on. So 13 would be a Minnesota highway sign around here. Does anybody remember what color those signs are?
Isn't it blue and white?
Oops, sorry. It's blue and yellow. So blue and yellow, the state flag. So a way to remember might be blue and yellow is our state flag. That's the Minnesota signs. Whereas the interstate, red, white, and blue, like the United States flag. All right.
Where I was just in first place, that sucks.
Okay, so we're gonna go a little bit into those speed laws that were kind of covered here in the Kahoot quiz for today. And so one of them, does anybody remember what one of the basic, or there you go, what one of the speed laws is called?
Basic.
I just told you, yep, basic. So we have the basic speed law. And what does this one have to do with? It starts with a C.
Condition.
Conditions. So at any given time when you're driving, you're only allowed to drive as fast as conditions allow you to drive. So if something makes it unsafe to go the posted speed limit, then you need to go below that speed limit. That would be under the basic speed law. That's how if you were driving too fast for conditions, you could actually get a speeding ticket for going the speed limit that is on the sign because of this basic speed law. So if you are on 35, let's say, and you're going 70 miles an hour through a blizzard, that's not safe, is it? You're causing potential problems for other drivers and for yourself, could cause a huge massive pileup. You're going too fast for conditions, so you could actually be pulled over and given a citation, a speeding ticket for going the speed limit in that case. Because the speed limit is only if conditions are perfect. Okay, so how do you know how fast to go usually? What's there? A sign, yeah. So that speed law is called the posted speed law. And that's easy to remember because it's posted on signs on the side of the road. And then on freeways, for example, or interstates, they might have a maximum and a minimum. So it might say a maximum speed and a minimum speed on freeways or interstates. And then does anyone remember the word that was used in the review for if there's no sign posted? What that law was called? Statute. Yeah, so statute is a law. Statute, statutory. Statutory means law or rule. And so that rule is in urban driving, that means city. If it's not posted, then the maximum speed in urban areas is what? You guys remember?
30.
30, yep. And then how about rural areas if it's not posted?
55.
Yeah. So this is only, statutory is only if it's not posted on a sign. So if there's no posted speed in that area, like in a neighborhood, for example, then you need to make sure that you know those statutory speeds. What do you think the speed limit is for an alley?
10.
10, good. So alleys are 10. And these are maximum speeds allowed. Okay, so if you see a sign like this, what color are speed limit signs?
White and black.
White and black, yeah. So white and black signs and red signs tell you laws. You can't break those. You can't disobey those. They tell you laws. So speed limit, let's say the speed limit's 45. Does that mean that you can always go 45?
No.
No, why? What speed law?
The basic.
The basic speed law tells you, no, you cannot always go 45. You can only go 45 in ideal conditions or good driving conditions. All right. So next we're gonna talk a little bit about lane usage. So there's specific rules when you are turning in particular. Sometimes signs might tell you that you need to use this lane for certain purposes. But otherwise, if there's no signage, how do you know what lane you can turn from, what lane you should turn into and that kind of thing? And that's another thing that you just have to know. So if you are coming up to an intersection and, you know, the unmarked roads may or may not have lane lines. This time of year, if it's not plowed really well, you might not even see any lines at all on the road. But you're gonna have 4 lanes. So these 2 lanes might be used for parking most of the time if it's a quieter road, and then these 2 lanes would be for driving, or it could be a wide 4 lane or more lanes for that particular road. And in that case, you would use them for the turn lanes. So if you're making a right turn at this intersection, for example, what lane would you need to be in if you're driving up this way to make a right-hand turn?
1 or 2.
Yeah,
Wait,
you
right,
need to be
oh.
in lane 4 to make your right-hand turn. And then here, I'll put the letters on this side too. And then what lane are you gonna turn into?
D.
D, good. So an easy way maybe to remember that would be for right turns, you're gonna go right to right. Okay, so you're gonna get all the way into the right lane and you're gonna turn into that first lane, which is the right lane on the road that you're entering. All right, so if you're making a regular left-hand turn, what lane are you gonna turn from?
Number 1.
What number?
1.
So 1 is gonna be going this way because it's a two-way street.
Wait.
So we're gonna come up to the same intersection like this, which way, and we wanna make a left-hand turn. What lane do we wanna be in?
3.
3, good. So if you're in lane 3 and you're coming up to this intersection, what lane would you need to make a left turn into?
C. Oh,
B,
never mind.
B is correct, because the cars are coming this way down a two-way street on the right-hand side of the road, so you need to make sure. So it's a little bit harder when you're doing it like an aerial view like this. In practice, if you were walking around between the tables or something, it might be a little bit more clear. But for purposes of class, we'll look at it here, and we can look at it in your manual too, and it'll show you the different turns. So left turns, you can remember maybe by thinking of left to left. And these are with no special turn lanes or anything like that. You're gonna get into the far left lane. This is the center of the road, so you don't wanna cross that into oncoming traffic. This is your farthest left lane, and this is the left lane on the road that you're planning on entering. Okay, so now if you were making a right-hand turn at this same intersection, but this street is now a one-way street, which means all the lanes go the same direction. So if you are right here, what lane are you gonna get into to make a right-hand turn and go down on this
D.
A, B, C, or D?
D.
D is gonna be your farthest right lane, so you're gonna get into D, and then what lane are you gonna turn into? 1, 2, 3, or 4?
One.
1, good. So right turns are always the same. It's always right to right. Doesn't matter that you were on a one-way street here, right? Because you're in the right lane, you're turning into the right lane. So one way for a right turn doesn't matter much. Now let's say we wanted to make a left-hand turn at the intersection here. And here we are, car X. What lane are we gonna get into to make a left turn or go up here?
A. Oh wait.
Okay, yeah,
Make a
because
left.
it's a one-way street. You get all the way to the left lane, which would be lane A in this particular case. And then you're gonna come through, and what lane do you wanna turn into, 1, 2, 3, or 4?
3.
3 is correct, because you gotta skip the lanes that are coming this way, right? And make sure that you go into the lane that's your direction. So that is the farthest left lane on the one-way street. This is the farthest left lane that you're allowed to drive in on the street that you're entering. So that's a one-way left turn onto a two-way. Okay, yep.
Is it illegal for, okay, so if you're driving on a street that has like,
A, B, C, D.
no, like you can go, like one car's going this way, one car's
Yeah.
going that way. And then one car's turning left, but there's no lane to like, go around them.
You're not allowed to.
You're not supposed to go on like the shoulder.
Right, you can't use the shoulder to pass another car, even if they're turning. So sometimes what they'll put in, like on Highway 13, there's a lot of, they're called bypass lanes, where they'll just make a lane, carve out the lane where a common left turn might be, so that you can use that space. That'll be designated by a solid white line. So if there's a solid white line on the side of the road, that's the shoulder of the road, and you don't go across to the shoulder of the road unless it's an emergency. So if you have a flat tire or something like that, but you can't use the shoulder to pass. Even if that car in front of you is making a left-hand turn, you don't wanna wait for them, you still have to just wait behind them, let them make their turn, and then you can go ahead. I know people sometimes do that, but they're not supposed to. Okay, so now if we turn this street also into a one-way, so it's all going this way, and we wanna make a left-hand turn at this intersection, what lane are you gonna get into?
A.
A is correct, and then what lane are you gonna turn into? 1, good. So you're gonna go like this. And that's very similar to what the right turn looks like, right? Just hugging the curb and going around, so that's a one-way to another one-way. So you might have downtown, a lot of one-way streets, where you're going one way, one way, one way, one way, and all around, and so then you need to know which lane to be in. You can see that what would happen if car X decided to make a right-hand turn up here from lane 3. Would that be okay as long as they use lane C?
No.
No, because what if someone in lane 4 were going straight? They would have just turned in front of them, and the car in lane 4 would have smashed into their passenger door, right? So that's why it's important that whichever direction you're turning, you're in the proper lane to make that turn, so you don't have like one of those T-bone crashes where you're turning in front of someone else that's going straight, yeah.
So for our driver's test, if we did that, would it be like points off, or would that just be an automatic like?
So if you go the wrong way, if you go the wrong direction down a two-way street, or you go the wrong direction down a one-way street, then that would be an automatic fail, my understanding on the road test, because it's illegal. If you made a move and turned from the wrong lane on your driving test, if you haven't done that consistently the whole way, like you have no comprehension of it, then